It's kind of interesting how we create the world, but that's how people work as adults too. That's how they stay in what I call the box, the scarcity box, and never change. And 10 years later, they're making the same amount of money with the same kind of friends, taking the same kind of vacations because they've never gotten out. And I've identified there's 7 mindsets that you have to develop around money in order to go live this liberated life where you can make all the money that you want and also simultaneously impact the world at all the levels that you want to impact the world. So that's the context of from whence I came.
Yeah, and I know we won't have time to get into all 7 of those, but I'll make sure to share some resources with everybody on how you can go and learn about these 7.
Well, I teach those in my first Million Masterclass.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited to experience it and then also share it with people in my world as well.
Yeah.
But maybe you want to share one. Do you want to maybe dig into one of those? Because
so let's start with the first.
Yeah.
The first one is on abundance mindset. That's where you start. And that, unfortunately, I've read a lot of books on mindset because it's my area of expertise. Most mindset books start and end on beliefs. And that's just one. And it's actually the surface level, even as important as it is. So imagine that there's this continuum between scarcity and I don't call it abundance. I call it limitless abundance because I think that gives a better picture. It's like, it's not just abundance, it's limitless abundance. But you have tens and
more
maybe
than enough for everybody, right?
It's more than enough for everybody. Yeah, it's limitless, right? And you have tens and probably hundreds of thousands of beliefs because everything you and I say are based on beliefs and assumptions we've made about reality.
Well, even what you were just saying about the lake and the pool, my first thought was, wait a second, people actually try and buy houses on lakes now. But again, that's just one example of where my head went. But then you said pool. I was like, oh, yeah, pools. I would associate pools to being rich too,
Yeah, it is interesting because that same lake now, people are building little mansions on it.
I'm sure.
Yeah, because that's the world we live in now.
Yeah.
But any rate, so you have tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of beliefs. But they're not all scarcity and they're not all this limitless abundance. They're all along this. And our job, and I have exercises and techniques I put people through, is to shift to where we're living in a world where a lot of our beliefs are around limitless abundance, because that changes how we look at money, how we look at our business, how we look at clients, how much we charge, and it also changes what we receive. Because it's at this level that we've got to deal with the things that we've already been talking about. Money's bad, or a pie is a good way to think about it. There's only one pie. Now, if there's only one pie, we've got several problems. One of the problems is I'm probably going to have to fight and struggle to get my little slice of that pie. And then we got the guilt stuff like my mom. Oh, well, if I get my slice, is there enough for everybody else? Because there's only this one pie. And now probably I had to take advantage of them. And we get into what I call first stage capitalism, as opposed to where I live in Conscious Millionaires, second stage. I'll quickly give those in a minute. But in first stage, it's all about win-lose. And there are 100 pennies in a dollar, but only 100. And your goal, and this is CNBC, I'm not knocking CNBC, I'm just saying this is how they report. Your goal is to get all 100 if you can, because you don't really care if anybody else gets any. You want to have them all, right? So that's the win-lose model. And I call that first stage of capitalism. And that's still where most people are staying. And then you have people who go, oh, well, capitalism's bad. They go, no, capitalism's not bad. First stage of capitalism is pretty limiting. That's the reframe. Second stage is a win-win-win. And that's what I built it on. You, others, and humanity all winning together, right? And it's also based on limitlessness, which actually is true. And you know who first discovered this on a practical level in business was actually the tech companies in the 90s. As you think about, that's when tech started getting big. How many people in their jeans, and sneakers went to work and became millionaires, and they were just programming? And it's because the tech companies realized that it was infinite. It was limitless. So if they could make their techie people millionaires, well, they were staying, right? And the company was going to do well as well. And there were certainly not just 100 pennies in a dollar. There are millions of pennies in a dollar. It just depends on whether you want to mine them all. And I don't mean in the crypto way, mine them in your mind. But this whole shift to you, others, and humanity winning together. I can assure you that if you are focused, if you and I are doing business and I'm focused on you winning and humanity being better off, I will absolutely do better. You know? And I look at people like Jeff Bezos, who I think is the epitome of this stage one, because pretty much I can just say this because he's not coming on my show.
Well, it's the truth. There's a solid foundation of truth here, even if it has bias and beliefs and everything around it. So I appreciate, just say whatever comes to your heart.
They're running advertisements right now, bragging that their people make $15 an hour. Well, if you make $15 an hour and you live in a real city, you can't buy a car or rent an apartment. This is not possible. Right. So I don't know why they're bragging about that, you know? So my point is that he certainly has done really well, but I think he's still living in that first stage where he wants to gather all the money for himself. And he hasn't really got that he could pay those same people $25 and you could actually make that work. He just doesn't see it that way. He sees it from that scale. And I know he's seeing it that way because that's what results you get when you think like that. You set up businesses like that. And on the other hand, you can set up a business where everybody's going to prosper. There's going to be food for everybody in the world. There's going to be shelters. There's going to be water. There's going to be healthcare. And if you come from that scarcity place, there's only so much, then you can't even conceive. You go, oh no, if all those third world countries get to live like we live, we'll have to give up something. Well, maybe not. Maybe we just all get to live better. And guess what? If people have education and they have food to eat and they have healthcare, they're going to be more productive. The whole world's going to be more productive. But you can't see that from the scarcity place. But when you move over here from limitless abundance, your mindset is one of, oh, it's how many ways can we win as opposed to there's only one way.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed that clip and you want to watch the full unedited episode, go ahead and click over here. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe. It really does mean a lot to me. Thanks so much.